Chapter 4 of the Peterkin Papers. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Mary Anderson. The Peterkin Papers by Lucretia P. Hale. Chapter 4. Mrs. Peterkin Wishes to Go to Drive. One morning Mrs. Peterkin was feeling very tired, as she had been having a great many things to think of. And she said to Mr. Peterkin, "I believe I shall take a ride this morning." And the little boys cried out, "Oh, may we go too?" Mrs. Peterkin said that Elizabeth Eliza and the little boys might go. So Mr. Peterkin had the horse put into the carryall, and he and Agamemnon went off to their business, and Solomon John to school, and Mrs. Peterkin began to get ready for her ride. She had some currants she wanted to carry to old Mrs. Twomley, and some gooseberries for somebody else, and Elizabeth Eliza wanted to pick some flowers to take to the minister's wife, so it took them a long time to prepare. The little boys went out to pick the currants and the gooseberries, and Elizabeth Eliza went out for her flowers, and Mrs. Peterkin put on her cape bonnet, and in time they were all ready. The little boys were in their India rubber boots, and they got into the carriage. Elizabeth Eliza was to drive, so she sat on the front seat and took up the reins, and the horse started off merrily, and then suddenly stopped, and would not go any farther. Elizabeth Eliza shook the reins and pulled them, and then she clucked to the horse, and Mrs. Peterkin clucked, and the little boys whistled and shouted, but still the horse would not go. "We shall have to whip him," said Elizabeth Eliza. Now Mrs. Peterkin never liked to use the whip, but as the horse would not go, she said she would get out and turn her head the other way, while Elizabeth Eliza whipped the horse, and when he began to go, she would hurry and get in. So they tried this, but the horse would not stir. "Perhaps we have too heavy a load," said Mrs. Peterkin as she got in. So they took out the currants and the gooseberries and the flowers, but still the horse would not go. One of the neighbors from the opposite house, looking out just then, called out to them to try the whip. There was a high wind, and they could not hear exactly what she said. "I have tried the whip," said Elizabeth Eliza. "She says whips, such as you eat," said one of the little boys. "We might make those," said Mrs. Peterkin thoughtfully. "We have got plenty of cream," said Elizabeth Eliza. "Yes, let us have some whips," cried the little boys, getting out. And the opposite neighbor cried out something about whips, and the wind was very high. So they went into the kitchen and whipped up the cream, and made some very delicious whips, and the little boys tasted all round, and they all thought they were very nice. They carried some out to the horse, who swallowed it down very quickly. "That is just what he wanted," said Mrs. Peterkin. "Now he will certainly go." So they all got into the carriage again and put in the currants and the gooseberries and the flowers, and Elizabeth Eliza shook the reins, and they all clucked, but still the horse would not go. "We must either give up our ride," said Mrs. Peterkin mournfully, "or else send over to the lady from Philadelphia and see what she will say." The little boys jumped out as quickly as they could. They were eager to go and ask the lady from Philadelphia. Elizabeth Eliza went with them, while her mother took the reins. They found that the lady from Philadelphia was very ill that day and was in her bed. But when she was told what the trouble was, she very kindly said they might draw up the curtain from the window at the foot of the bed and open the blinds, and she would see. Then she asked for her opera glass and looked through it across the way up the street to Mrs. Peterkin's door. After she had looked through the glass, she laid it down, leaned her head back against the pillow, for she was very tired, and then said, Why don't you unchain the horse from the horse post?" Elizabeth Eliza and the little boys looked at one another and then hurried back to the house and told their mother. The horse was untied and they all went to ride. End of chapter 4.